Okay, so this was a fairly quick game against a PC player. He was gold 2, I was platinum 2, so I guess that kind of evens it out a little bit. I'm Knights Templar as usual, and we're going up against English. Just to make note of this here, it says I'm playing with keyboard and mouse, but that's just because I'm casting it with the keyboard and mouse. As you saw from the previous screenshot, it was a controller. I can't play with a mouse, I've tried. But yeah, that will always show up that way because it's just a lot easier, a lot smoother to cast using the keyboard and mouse. So yeah, we're going up against English here anyway, and my previous experiences have always been early aggression with them. So even though I've spent quite a lot of time recently learning and perfecting Beastie's 2 TC build with Knights Templar, I don't know, didn't feel too comfortable with it on this one going up against English. So I decided to kind of go with my kind of standard, which would be sergeants to give me the extra 20% melee damage, and I would make horsemen and spearmen. So yeah, gonna go with my standard, and starting off with just getting the scout out, looking for sheep. Not doing too well at this stage. I went a little bit further than I normally like to. I normally sort of stay in the kind of in a closer perimeter and then catch the kind of I think people call them safe sheep. But this is quite a big map, so yeah, I just decided to venture out a little bit. So yeah, standard, opening 2 to gold, and then everything else is being rallied to food. And then because of that, in fact, because of this opening, it lets me focus a lot more attention on the scout, because I'm not jumping back and forth between my town centre and the scout. So here I see double deer pack, and in my head I was like, "Ooh, you know what? This could have been a great location actually to plop down a second TC, because it's like not too far away from the first one, and I'll be munching on, you know, a really good amount of food. But is what it is. I, you know, made my decision and stuck with it, and it worked out well, because my opponent actually goes for 2 TCs. But then I didn't play passive in this one. I actually, because I'm getting units out, and because I'm sort of being a bit more, intentional with this opening, I decided to kind of go for a bit of a forward push, and that turned out to be the right choice, really, because I ended up winning the game. So I think it's a 20 something minutes, and I won, obviously. So yeah, I think the kind of thing I take from it is so that he's on stone now, yeah. So that's why he's going to go for his 2 TC. But I don't see that yet. I haven't scouted his base. But what was I saying? Yeah, you know, you do have, like, I guess you've got to have a standard opener, right? But then you've got to have variations of that, and your ability to choose, you know, what to go for based upon the map, based upon your spawn, based upon your opponent. You know, you have to take all those things into consideration, and also something a little bit more intuitive here, but what you're comfortable with. You know, you might go with something that is technically the right thing in what we see the pros saying to do, but then you might not feel fully comfortable doing that, and then because you're outside of your comfort zone, that could end up, you know, being putting yourself in a bit of a disadvantage in the long run. So I decided to just, I guess, play it safe and something that I'm very familiar with. Age Up's gone through all the villagers that were on the food and now on the wood, and I'm just still rallying to food just so that I can keep that up until, because what I want to do is get enough wood to then be able to go over here and lay down, drop down an outpost, and a mill. So I'm currently in the process of scouting his base, or on my way over to scout his base, and I'm up P's and Q's here because against English they fire more arrows, and I've been stung in the past. So yeah, I was quick to move my scout there, and here we go. Oh no, that's my pilgrim. So I got my pilgrim out early in the game, and that's because I didn't want to make too many moves. Let's just check. See, I haven't put down a barracks yet. I wanted to wait to see what my guy was doing, because if I see he's going for archers and potentially a longbow rush, I don't want to be pumping out spearmen and sergeants, because they're weak. Their kryptonite is going to be ranged. So I'm actually taking my time here, and in the end I do go for it, because I say to myself, okay, at some point I've got enough wood to put both down. In fact, I saw his Abbey of Kings, which is why I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to need a couple of spears to deal with his king. But my intention, if you look at my wood, is going to be to put down an archery range straight after that, because these guys, obviously, they've got great range on their longbow attacks, but they're slightly slower. Whereas for KT, we're going to have faster. So I don't have to be too fearful. Like, I know longbow rush isn't happening. Archer range is going to come in shortly. But yeah, I'm on the food now, and I'm going to put in survival techniques and wheelbarrow. Because my workers, my villagers are kind of away from home. So what have we got here? So his scouts coming to look at what's going on. What's going on? And I'm just getting the last parts of the map uncovered. I'm probably going to go to this corner afterwards. I know what's coming. The king is going to be out, and it's going to be harassing. So who's this guy? There he goes. Okay, so he's on his way over. He actually got this. No, in fact, that's what he's doing. He's going over to the abandoned outpost first. So he wants to get vision. He's probably going to send his scout over to this one, which he has done. Yep. So, okay, pretty smart play. Strategic. I'm taking a bit of a risk here. He's going to be on berries, I assume. Second TC is down. So he's just on sheep, in fact. And then he's going to go over to this deer pack. And, he's going to have the villagers to do it. So, I've got this wolf trying to attack my pilgrim, which is annoying. So that's why I sent the spearmen to try and deal with that, because I hate that noise over and over. So yeah, his king has claimed that outpost. I have, let's just quickly see what I've got in the way of. Yeah, so I've got my archer range down as well. Just need to rally over. I'm putting up some walls just to, I don't want to just having to be worried about these attacks. So he comes in for a little poke and he gets a little charge attack on my spearman there, but then he runs off. That's his job. He's not necessarily looking to take out any villagers, but he's gonna, distract, and he's got vision, and he's, gonna wait for his units to come out. So archery range, barracks. In fact, having the king out, oftentimes I used to play with KT Chevalier, and what my intentions wasn't to mass like a large cavalry raiding unit, but just to put my opponent on the back foot, and it kind of just gets them to be a little bit more defensive, and they turtle a bit. So he may have been, that may have been part of his plan, would be to get me to turtle a little bit. But as I said, I was intentional with this opening, and I wasn't going to play that game. So in fact, he's the one that's going to go that way. He's playing 2 TT. So here you go. King comes in for another little poke. I'm not going to overextend. I'm just going to chase him away and focus on what I'm doing, which is get my food income, get my wood income, so I can build production units, houses, wall off, so I don't have to worry about what's going on here. So I think what happens next is I claim this, so I decap it, and then I'm going to send my scout over, yep, to here to decap this one. So we're just jostling for position here. He's out on his deer as well, and he's put an outpost. But I'm not looking to raid. I'm just looking to get my units, and obviously I know his king's on the prowl. He should have really had his scout with him here, because I don't think he's got a great yeah, like the king doesn't have great vision. So if he had his scout with him, that probably would have been a better move. Let's just quickly have a look at the army value. So I'm way ahead, and as I said, that's because that's what I'm, what I'm going for, and what he's going for is an eco. So he has got his production buildings, and he is producing spearmen and longbows. But I just don't think, maybe he's not expecting a KT player to be so. All right, so I go for his king here. King was just chilling, and I should have waited, because look, I'm one more hit away from taking out the king. I should have waited for these archers, because then they would have guaranteed me the kill. So I was a little bit annoyed at that. I just needed to be a bit more patient. But anyway, things are going my way. So I've decapped both of these outposts, and I'll be claiming this one shortly. And yeah, I'm getting units out on the field. I've secured my base. I've just dashed a whole load of villagers on stone, and that's not for a TC. That's just because I'm planning. Like I've got it in my mind. So you have a look. I've got siege engineering in. I've got it in my mind that I could potentially go for a feudal push, and in fact that's what I do. So when I've chased that king away, I'm like, you know what? I didn't see any more units. He's not bringing anything forward, so let me just advance. I'm not gonna, go crazy. I'm not gonna be gung ho and like just doing all in or anything. But let me go and have a look. Let me, impose myself, and start, taking advantage of having these units. There's no point having these units and then just having them chilling in your base. Okay, at first they were, serving a purpose in terms of my villagers that were out on the deer, and I knew I was going to, bring more villagers out. So I've got 8, 6, yeah, so 18, rather than do the maths, 18 there. So I knew I needed those units, but okay, so now he's not bringing anything out. He's not harassing me. He's not raiding me. Let me bring them forward. And sure enough, I see he's not coming to confront me. So I'm going to make a couple of rams and see what happens. From watching the replay, I realised that he can see all of this because he's got vision from his Abbey of the Kings, which I knew was there actually. So I guess I didn't know that he gets that kind of vision, but it's a landmark, so that does make sense. And look, he's putting his white tower down, so he's making a defensive play as while he's bringing his units forward. But he's made a mistake then in regards to putting houses and Abbey of the Kings forward, because that's normally what you do when you want to play aggressive, right? But he wasn't doing that. He wasn't bringing units out. So I send the so I see that he goes to castle. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to get left behind, and so I've got 28 villagers of food. I don't want to get left behind, so I want to do the same, but I'm going to still, I'm still going to attempt this little push and see how it goes. As I said again, I'm not going to just go all in and rally everything across. I'm going to look to do some damage, keep him on the back foot. So as you see, it's an A move at the moment, and these guys are hitting the building, but I actually grabbed them and made them attack the longbows, which, with an Xbox and a controller, the micro isn't that good. So in this game, that's part of my evolution and my development, is being able to micro my units, and not just, hard pressing left D-pad to get a whole army. I left my rams to do their thing, and now I'm away from the fire of the White Tower and his longbows. I'm just like, okay, let them soak up the fire. They're not really taking much. It's not taking that much damage, but I'm doing damage, right? And I think, let's see what's happening at this stage. So I'm not rallying anything across yet, but I've put down the stables and a blacksmith. So yeah, upgrades are coming in. Archers are being sent over. I know that I've got good food income. Pilgrims are making their way, so again, pulling my army back. It doesn't have to be, you know, crazy all in, which I've learned, man. I've learned the hard way. You just got to take your time. So I've actually got more. I think I am rallying at this stage across. Yep. So I know that I've got units coming across to help with building the siege. I don't think he's got enough army to try and kind of challenge me at the front here, but he knows he's got his white tower. So he knows that I can't push in at this stage. Plus, he's gone Castle Edge. So there, I've just reached Castle Edge, and I've gone in with Andrevian. So I've got the heavy spearmen coming. So that's a great unit, even against English. And who are the other guys? HOL. Because they're heavy spearmen, right? So they've got the armor. So again, correct micro. I'm bringing my units back. I've also got villagers coming over to build this. So that's what I was saying earlier about getting the stone. It's worked out in my favour. It's kind of being prophylactic, being preemptive in that respect. Gave me options. Gave me, you know, the choice to do it, and I've decided to go with it. So now I've pushed these rams forward. They're going to soak up fire from the white tower. I'm focusing my units on these longbows, and again, as I said, mine are faster. So that range isn't really benefiting him at the moment. So he brings horsemen, but a little bit too late. He's trying to put up an outpost, but I actually push forward. And my rams, he's trying to put 2 outposts up, but his villagers get murked. And my rams are taking out his white tower. Yep, horsemen are coming over, spearmen are coming over. Veteran spearmen. Horsemen, I'm going to put down more barracks at home and start pumping out heavy spearmen. So I run out of food here, but look, I'm going on to berries over here. I know that I've got berries at the back here as well, which is going to be pretty safe. Berries over here, and I've got a goal just in front of the goal that I got there. So I'm already planning how I need to move, you know, my villages around. I'm executing really well. I've got the fortress going up. I've taken out his abbey. I've stopped this tower going up. I'm about to take out the white tower, but look, he's put what, like 20 vills to repair, and that's idle time for all these farms. Whereas I'm doing my thing. Like I'm on wood. I'm on berries, as I said. I'm on gold. Pilgrims, I'm pretty sure I've probably got 2 pilgrims out at this stage. No, 1 pilgrim. Okay, so I haven't got the next one out just yet. But yes, it's going in my favour. It's going in my favour. Let's have a quick look at the army value. Heavily in my favour in terms of army, but this army isn't going to be enough to get past this white tower. And because I've got this here, you know, he's not really going to be trying to do any kind of funky flank manoeuvres. And the truth is, nor am I, because I know he's going to try and tell. He's got a nice wall up here. He's going into farms. I'm just going to keep rallying. Let's have a look at the map. So here you go. Units, horsemen coming across, because I know he's going to have a lot of longbows. Upgrades are in straight away. I know that I'm going to need +1 ranged. And villagers come forward. 4 villagers to build 1, 2, 3 siege workshops. What I've learned in the past is don't just build 1. You know, KT, we get cheaper siege, right? And we've got to use that to our advantage earlier on in the game. Okay, so rams and trebuchets. He builds a siege workshop himself, but just 1, and he goes heavy on archery ranges. So 1, 2, 3 there. 2 stables and a racks. So I mean, you know, it's a good opponent. He's a gold 2. He's a PC player, so he's coming up against slightly better opposition than I am. So he knows what he's doing. But it's all about, you know, it's strategy. It's an RTS, right? So I've chosen the correct strategy for what he's doing, which is 2 TC, and he wasn't going aggro. So I'm making the right response, because in the past I've just sat in my base and I'm like trying to, you know, get my fortresses and creep out on the map, but as I saw, he wasn't, you know, like increasing his army. He wasn't harassing. I was like, okay, you know what? This is time for me to make my move. and this is essentially what wins me the game. So let's have a look. I'm getting one trebuchet is all I can afford at the moment because I've got a lot of villagers on wood. Oops, sorry, this guy. Let me switch over to me. Yeah, I've got a lot of villagers on wood, but not a lot. You know, it's not a lot in the bank. I'm not floating any resources. I'm spending it all. Heavy spearmen on the way. Couple of Templar brothers, you know, just in case I do need to do any kind of flanking and whatnot. I've got, again, having the option to do these things. I'm actually, my first treb is actually on his houses, and with the second I do the same thing as well because I want to punish, right? He's made a mistake by putting his houses and obviously by putting his abbey there, so you know I want to punish him for that because now he's going to have to build more houses in the back. He's got his first treb out, but it's again not going to be enough. So he's got horsemen. He knows I had a lot of archers, and he may even want to try and flank and come round and see, you know, what's going on in my house. But I've made preparations for that. You know, he might be able to do a little bit of damage, but he needs to really take care of home. So I think, in fact, this cavalry unit is, so 9 cavalry is to take out the trebuchets. I do get a little bit. I tried to move it, but I made a mistake by bringing it too far forward. But let's see. So he had 9. He's going to end up losing. He loses, yes, okay, 7 of his units, and he loses another 1 with that push. So he takes out one treb, but he loses 8 cav. So now what I'm doing is I make sure I'm just in the range where if anything comes to push, then I can protect. And more harder spearmen. We've got decarbonization coming, so those spearmen, you know, are going to be, and my cav units are going to be doing a lot of damage. I've got some crossbowmen in case he brings any kind of armored units as well, which I don't think he's doing at the moment. Longbows, horsemen. He's got some mangonel. So again, he's seen I had archers, but I guess, you know, I'm not going to just mass one unit. You know, I'm going to make sure I've got a good army composition. I want the archers to deal with his and the cavalry units, and I want the heavy spearmen because they're going to do damage on the buildings as well, right? And they're armored now as well. So I'm pretty happy with my position right now. So have a quick little glance at the army composition again. So I'm always ahead, right? But he's making, you know, decisions to counteract what I'm doing, but I just don't think and they were the best decisions, and I think my timing was a bit better as well. So now he brings more of it. He's going to bring his army forward, and he's going to bring villagers to have to repair this. But again, that's massive idle time. So even though it's 2 TC, you know, I'm making sure that that advantage doesn't swell and, you know, get to a point where he can overtake me. You know, I have to keep the pressure on. So yeah, more rams. I'm getting a military academy in so I can produce more units. Heavy spearmen, 11 on the way. I'm going to be putting down more production builders. 1, 2, 3 racks. I'm on stone again because I probably want to secure a fortress back in my area. I went on these berries, they finished, so I'm out on these berries. Let's see what's going on over here. So we have a fight. He loses his white tower, and then I just push. I'm like, okay, this is the all-in now. His gold, let me just quickly pause it here because as you can see, we're pretty much at the end. We're approaching GG. I didn't see this, but he went over to the gold over here, which is a good move. Again, you know, to quote the movie Revolver, you only get better by playing a better opponent. And so when I do these reviews, I look at, you know, what these guys are doing. So he's walling off this section for English farming. You know, it's a big source of income for them. So he's doing that. He's investing his wood into the farm. It's cheaper for them. I'm not making any farms. Right, I know that where my berries are. I know where my deer food source were. I've finished my sheep up. So yeah, just making these good decisions. He decided to go over here. This probably would have been a bit safer, and he had deer over here as well. But I'm not sure why he decided to go over here. Maybe he thought he could be a little bit sort of unorthodox. But there's so much was going on here. I wasn't even thinking about anything like that. I just wanted to concentrate what was going on over here. Let's just have a look at his base. So he's building in the back. A lot of archery ranges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 archery ranges, 2 stables, 2 raxes, and a siege workshop. Farming, a lot of farming. But this is the final push for me, and pretty much what finishes the game off. In fact, let's quickly pause it again and have a look at the stats. So army value, 3 times the amount. Let's look at so I'm going 60-60 split. So 50% military, 50% economy. Good quality military at that, with good army composition and good upgrades. He is obviously going to be eco heavy, so he's gone 90-30. So we've both got roughly 120, 120, but he's got 2/3 economy, 1/3. Sorry, yeah, 2/3 economy, 1/3 military. I've got 2/3 military, 1/3 economy, and that's why I have to push, right? I can't sort of say, okay, I've done damage, let me go back, because he's on 2 TCs. He's already got his farming transition, and we just need to make the push. So yeah, he's lost more than me in his army, and at this stage, what has he got? I've got 64 military. He's got 28. So I just need to push. I just need to go for it. So let's just watch the end. Let's get rid of this army value, and then we'll look at the stats. There you go, G to the G. Okay, so let's go into timeline and stats. Pretty even here. I just didn't. Well, in fact, let's have a look at village account. He's pulling away. Look at that. He's pulling away from here. Okay, and if I had just set my base, that just it wouldn't have worked out in my favor. So I went the other route, which was military, but I made use of those military. Yeah, once I saw he wasn't putting units out in the field, he wasn't building up any kind of army and pressing towards my base, I made the correct decision. And see, so it was even, right? Resources gathered, and that's because of the idle time that I caused for him. So let's have a look at the stats here. So I said I did better overall. I'm on the bottom here. He won on economy, so that's to be expected. But I made sure that was all he could win on. So military, yep, I smashed it. And economy, so he had, let's quickly see, 100 villages. Wowzers, at 20 minutes. Now, how long was the game? Timeline, the game was 24 minutes. Wowzers, and he had 100. Wow, okay. Technology, I'm better. Look at that. So I'm making sure I've not just got units, but they're upgraded units. And then society. So we didn't go into relics or anything like that. It was a pretty quick game. So he beat me up. He was winning on food and wood. I did better on stone and gold. So gold for my upgrade, stone for my fortress. And yeah, man, it was a good game. It was a good game. As I said there, I'm looking to always improve, learn from my mistakes, and make good in-game decisions. So hopefully this replay, would have helped other KT players, other Xbox players. If you've got any questions, as always, leave a comment. Good to get a conversation started with other Xbox and KT players. But I'll wrap it up there. Take it easy.